Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another awesome Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants broadcast. If you're joining us for the first time, as quite a few of you are today, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world. And everything we do goes to YouTube. So if you want to check this program out in like 3 weeks or 3 years, or check out like 4,000 other programs of the coolest scientists and explorers on planet Earth, you can head there and do just that. Now, before I dive in with our topic du jour, I want to note we have a Kahoot today. So between our talk and our Q&A, we have a little 4-question quiz you can play along with, test your understanding, have some fun. If you want to pull up that game pen, we'll be getting to that in about 20 minutes or so. Now, I'm so excited of all the broadcasts you could have chosen, you chose today, because today we are continuing a really special series in collaboration with Disney Conservation. If you're like me, before joining this series, I didn't know that Disney did conservation. I think of them as Disney Plus. I think of them as Disney's most amazing parks where I went as a boy and as an adult because Disney rocks. But they do such incredible work to help us understand and save species around the world. And so a few times now, we've had the amazing Morgan Bell on to talk about monarch butterflies, which rock. Butterflies are super, super cool. But if our audience today is any indication, you guys are even more excited about turtles. We are going to talk about sea turtles, the different kinds of turtles, how we can help understand them and save them. We're going to play a little Kahoot together. We're going to learn a lot and have a lot of fun. If that all sounds good, I'm going to zip it, turn you over to Kristen, our amazing guide today at Disney Conservation, to take us away and blow our minds. So Kristen, welcome to the broadcast. So nice to meet you.
Thank you so much, Jesse. I just want to say I'm so excited to be here. Science was always my favorite subject growing up, going through school. If you couldn't tell by the fact that I actually grew up to be a scientist. And it's just such a cool thing to be able to sit here and chat with the next generation of scientists. So I'm so excited. I hope you all brought your questions ready to go because I'm ready to answer them. So hopefully I can. So
my biggest problem is going to be that I want to ask you a bunch of questions and I need to give the kids the role because that's my job. So with that, I know you've got a lot to share. So if you want to bring
all right, yeah, let's get this party started here.
Sweet. There we are, and we are good to go. It looks great.
Awesome. Well, welcome everyone. I'm super excited to be here today to talk about our sea turtle conservation work at Disney. Like Jesse said, my name is Kristen. I'm a conservation and science technician located here at Walt Disney World. And that's pretty much just a really fancy way to say I'm a biologist. Now, if you're at all familiar with Walt Disney World, we're located here in Orlando, Florida. And if you're familiar with the geography of Florida, you're probably wondering, isn't Orlando in the middle of the state? What kind of oceans are in the middle of the state? How do you guys find sea turtles there? But what a lot of people don't know is Disney actually has this really pretty beach resort out on the east coast of Florida, just about 2 hours from Walt Disney World. And it's called Disney's Vero Beach Resort. And you can see a picture of it right here. And this place is really special for sea turtles. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. But before we go into what Disney's doing, I want to zoom out and talk a little bit about some of the different sea turtles around the world. Now, there are 7 different species of sea turtles that you can find swimming in the world's oceans. And 5 of these sea turtles we actually see here in Florida come lay their eggs. And those 5, we have the loggerhead, the green sea turtle, the leatherback, the hawksbill, and the Kemp's Ridley. Now, we don't see the hawksbill and the Kemp's Ridley too often. In fact, where we personally go and do our research, we don't really see any of them. And the other 2 species of sea turtles in the world, we have the olive ridley and the flatback, which I think the flatbacks are super cool. They're only found in Australia. It's a dream of mine to actually see one. But sea turtles, they'll spend most of their life out in the ocean swimming around. But once the females become fully grown, so once they reach maturity, which can take anywhere from about 10 to 30 years, depending on the species of sea turtle, they are going to come ashore onto a beach to lay their eggs. And we're going to take a look. These are all the different beaches around the world in this map that these female sea turtles will come ashore to lay their eggs. So you can see we have all these different, colored dots. All the different colors represent a different species of sea turtle, and how big those circles are represent how many sea turtles of each of those species come ashore in those areas. So you can see there's sea turtle nesting grounds all throughout the world, Australia, Asia, Africa. But I want you to take a really quick look and really pay attention to that North and South America area. You can't even see Florida. There are so many dots and circles there. So Florida in general is just a really, really special place for nesting sea turtles. And in particular, where we're located. So here's another map looking at just Florida, and this is looking at just two of the 5 species that we see. So the loggerhead sea turtle and the green sea turtle are 2 of the more common species that we see here in Florida. Now, the loggerhead sea turtles, they're going to be the most common. The greens are slowly getting up there, but I'll talk about that in a minute. And in this map, you'll see kind of a little tiny white square down there. Now, that's roughly about where Disney's Vero Beach Resort is located. And you'll see all different colored lines all on the beaches around Florida here. So you'll see some different colors that represent how many of each of those species of sea turtles come to lay their nests. So you'll see yellows are a good amount of sea turtles. Oranges, it's getting a little busier. Reds, we're talking about thousands of nests throughout the sea turtle nesting season. And if you take a look at that little square right there where our resort is located, you're going to see lots of oranges and reds. So Disney's Vero Beach Resort is really, really special. It's located just at the southern boundary of what's called the Archie Carr National Wildlife Refuge, which is a really special place in Florida and was actually designated a refuge because of the high density of nesting sea turtles that we welcome on our beaches there. So just at the southern boundary of that, our beaches around Disney's Vero Beach Resort serve as a really important extension of that habitat. And we welcome hundreds, if not thousands of sea turtles every single year who come and lay their eggs. So a lot of people wonder, well, why does Disney care about sea turtles? Well, because we have a beachfront resort there, we want to make sure that the beach around our resort continues to remain a safe and welcoming place for sea turtles to continue to nest for years to come. And the way that we do that is by researching and understanding and using what we learn to make sure that we can operate in a way that will continue to be friendly to sea turtles. So that's why we care so much about sea turtles. And now I'd like you to meet our local sea turtles. So like I said, we have 5 species of sea turtles that nest here in Florida, but we only see about 3 of them on our beaches around Disney's Vero Beach Resort. And those are the leatherback sea turtle, the green sea turtle, and the loggerhead sea turtle. Now, you'll notice each of these species, they're listed as endangered or threatened, but I actually do have a pretty recent update to this here, which is pretty exciting. The green sea turtle on the global IUCN list, which is pretty much a big list that all sorts of scientists from around the world get together. They kind of look at all the research going on about different species of animals and make a determination about how concerned we should be about these animals. They recently were upgraded from endangered to least concern, which is a huge conservation win. And it's thanks to all of the amazing work that's being done by all different organizations all throughout the world. Now, just because they've been moved to least concern doesn't mean our work is here yet. In fact, the reason why they were moved to least concern is a good indication that what we are doing, all the conservation work we're doing, is actually working. So we have to keep doing that to ensure that their populations stay in a good place for many, many years. So it's a really, really great conservation win, but the work isn't over yet. Now we're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive here into some of these species of sea turtles, because of course I know the most about them since we see them. The leatherback sea turtles, on average, they're going to be your big guys, right? Big guys and gals. So on average, they'll get to be about 750 to 1,000 pounds. These are massive, massive sea turtles. I think the biggest on record was almost 2,000 pounds, so a literal ton this turtle weighed. On average, their shell length will get to be about 4 to 8 feet. And really the way we tell them apart is just from their massive size. They also are what we call the only soft-shelled sea turtle out there. Now, the soft shell comes from kind of that leathery skin that they have over their shell there. And that serves a purpose for these guys if they are deep sea divers. And if you think about it, if the deeper you go into the ocean, the heavier the water gets, the more pressure that's on you, right? So if you take like a flat, really brittle board and you press down really hard in the middle of it, it's going to crack. We don't want that to happen for the sea turtles. Instead, if you take, let's say, like Jello or clay or something, and you press your hand down, it's going to squish. So that's what that kind of leathery skin over their shell kind of helps them do. It gives them a little bit of give so they can dive to depths of up to 4,000 feet, which is pretty incredible. And somehow they get this big only on a diet of jellyfish, which is pretty insane. Now they'll nest about every 2 to 4 years, about 80 eggs per nest they're going to lay. We don't see too many of these leatherbacks in our area. We maybe get a handful of nests each year, but it's always really, really special when we do see them. Now, a lot of our research focuses on these nesting beaches that the sea turtles visit. But the thing is, sea turtles nest at night. And I don't know about you guys, I'm a bit more of a morning person than a night person. So we let the sea turtles do their thing at night, and we'll actually go out and survey the beach the next morning and look for the clues that they leave behind in the sand. So we look for the different sea turtle crawls. I like to call it turtle CSI, crawl scene investigation. When we come up to a sea turtle crawl, we want to know a few things. We want to know what species that turtle was and what she did. And from that, we can take all sorts of data to better understand what sea turtles prefer in a nesting beach and how we can best help them. So this is what a leatherback sea turtle crawl looks like. And the way that we can tell this is a leatherback sea turtle crawl when we don't even have the turtle to look at is just by looking at the size alone. Now there you see actually my friend Emily, she's laying in the middle of a crawl there. Now she's, about 5'6", mid 5 foot range. And you see from the tips of her fingers to the tips of her toes, she barely makes it across that entire crawl. That's how big this turtle is. It is really, really incredible. So that's pretty much how we tell these guys apart. And like I said, we don't see the leatherback sea turtles too often, but some of the species that we do see more often are the green sea turtles. So we chatted a little bit about them. These guys are really, really exciting right now. They're becoming increasingly common here in Florida, which is so cool to see. On average, they'll weigh about 300 to 400 pounds. So they're the biggest hard shell species of sea turtle. They'll get to be about 3 to 5 feet in length for their shell. And they're really distinguished by having a very small head and a beautiful starburst pattern on their shell. You can see a picture of that beautiful shell right in the top right corner. Now, they start as omnivores, so they'll eat both meat and vegetables when they are young. But as they grow up, they become purely vegetarians, or as we say in the scientific world, herbivores. And they're going to eat seagrasses, seaweeds, all sorts of things. And to help with that, they actually have these really small heads, and in their jaws, they have kind of these serrated edges to their beak, which is pretty cool, which kind of helps them tear at that salad. So got a nice little model here of what their head looks like.
Cool.
Just about every 2 years, they'll lay about 130 eggs per nest. So I think the biggest clutch that I've ever seen. So a clutch is what we call, a nest, or what the eggs in the nest. I've seen a nest that had 155 plus eggs in it, which was incredible. And the reason why these guys are called green sea turtles is not because they're necessarily green. They don't look too green when you're looking at them. They kind of look brown. But their name actually comes from the color of their fat tissue. So these guys eat so much seagrass, so many greens, that it actually turns their fat cells green. So that's how these guys get their name. Now, the way that we can tell these guys apart when we see them on the beach is we look for kind of parallel flipper strokes. So these guys move by moving both their flippers at the same time and hoisting themselves forward. So if you're a swimmer, I'm pretty sure that's the butterfly stroke, kind of moving both arms forward and hoisting yourself through the water. That's how these guys move on land. So you kind of get tracks that look like this, with like slashes in the sand that if you draw a line just straight across, they're going to be parallel from each other. So that's how we can tell them apart. They also make really, really big nests. That picture on the right there is what a green sea turtle nest looks like. It looks like a small meteor came and hit the beach, which is pretty impressive that one turtle can move that much sand in a night, but it's really, really cool to see. And the last species of sea turtle that we see are the loggerhead sea turtles. And these are my personal favorite and some of the most common here in Florida. They'll get to be about 200 to 350 pounds. They'll have a shell length of about 3 feet. And they really have these just large, thick necks and heads and strong jaws. So that's how they get the name of loggerhead sea turtle. And you can see this is what their kind of head looks like. Really, really big, a lot of muscles attached to this head here, which helps them eat their diet, which is, crabs, clams, so really crunchy crustaceans and things like that. And they'll nest about every 2 to 3 years. On average, we'll see anywhere between, 100 to 115 eggs per nest. And they, like I said, are the most common species that we see here in Florida. And this is what their track looks like. So they're a lot different from the green sea turtles. You'll see instead of kind of slashes in the sand, they have kind of more swoopy comma-shaped crawls. And that's because these guys move kind of more with a breaststroke. So they go kind of one flipper in front of the other. And as they waddle up the beach, they're pushing off with those rear flippers. And that's kind of what leaves those commas in the sand. And you'll see on the right, that's a picture of a loggerhead sea turtle nest. It's a little bit smaller of an area than the green sea turtles. So it's pretty easy to tell these guys apart most of the time, but they always like to trip us up a little bit. Now, here's some of what we do as the Disney Sea Turtle Conservation Program. Now, like I said, we have a resort located in some of the most critical sea turtle nesting habitat in the entire world. So we have a really, really cool opportunity to really learn as much as we can about these sea turtles and how we can continue to protect them. So we do all sorts of research here at Disney, including asking questions of, well, what does make a sea turtle want to come nest here? How can we manage this habitat better and make it a more welcoming place for sea turtles? Some of how we do that, you'll see in the top right corner. We don't just look at how many nests are here. We also look at how successful these nests are. So what you see is one of my coworkers, Caitlin and Barbie there. They are actually digging up a sea turtle nest that had hatched, and they're counting how many eggs hatched, how many didn't, to get kind of an idea of how successful that nests are. Because it's really great if you have a lot of nests, but it's not so great if those nests are only hatching about half of the eggs in there. So we want to understand what factors kind of influence how successful sea turtles' nests are. So that's some of the research. We also do some research with the Disney veterinarian team, which is awesome. So here at Disney's Animal Kingdom, we have world-class veterinarians that we'll bring out onto the beach. And we actually do go out at night sometimes and do some sea turtle health assessment research, which is a fancy way of saying we go out and give checkups to nesting sea turtles and understand kind of what a healthy nesting sea turtle looks like. Because if you think about it, we don't really have a lot of data on what looks like a healthy sea turtle. For humans, you go to the doctor and, doctors have a good kind of comparison. They've seen a lot of humans in their life. They can kind of compare what healthy and not healthy looks like and help treat you. Sea turtles, we don't really have a lot of that data yet. So we're working with our veterinarians to start to establish some of that data, which is super, super exciting. So that's a little bit about what we do out there. But even more important than learning and understanding about what's important to these sea turtles is how we actually take what we learn and put it into action. So some of the ways that we've put both our research and research from the whole scientific community working to protect sea turtles into action at Disney's Vero Beach Resort. One of the most important ways is our sea turtle friendly lighting plans. Now, sea turtles are very, very sensitive to lighting. They come up at night because it's a little bit quieter, it's dark, they can navigate a little bit easier. And if they have a really, really bright light shined on them, it can lead to what we call a disorientation, especially the little hatchlings. So the little hatchlings, they'll spend their entire lives up until the point that they hatch in a very dark hole in the ground. And as they come up into the world, they will just still see darkness, but they're slowly starting to adjust. And the way that they find their way to the ocean is by looking for the brightest light on the horizon, which is usually over the ocean and how the moon reflects over the ocean. But if we have really, really bright lights that are headed more inland, so away from the ocean, the turtles might go that way. And we definitely don't want that to happen. So we work very closely with Disney's Vero Beach Resort to come up with sea turtle friendly lighting plans, which includes everything from making sure that light doesn't get out onto the beach. So you'll see on the right, there's a picture of a big painting of a sea turtle. That actually serves as a physical barrier, so a physical wall to prevent some light from the resort getting out onto the beach in a hole that we had. You'll also see lots of, kind of orangish, reddish light as well. So sea turtles are a little bit less perceptive to longer wavelengths, so those reds and oranges. So we outfit a lot of the lights at the resort with these sea turtle friendly lighting. So we do a lot of work there to make sure that, the sea turtles are going to go the right way. All the sea turtles that come and call Disney's Vero Beach home, make sure that they can find their way successfully. We also do a lot to reduce single-use plastics, especially the loggerhead turtles. They're what we like to call opportunistic eaters, which means if the opportunity presents itself for an easy meal, they're going to take advantage of it, which gets them into some trouble out in the ocean because trash is usually a pretty easy meal. It doesn't run very fast. It doesn't try to escape. So these guys get in some trouble. So we make sure that we can reduce single-use plastics as much as we can throughout the resort to reduce how much of that ends up in the environment. We also participate in beach cleanups. As we're out during the summer, during the nesting season, collecting all of our data on sea turtles, we're picking up trash as we go. We're cleaning up the beach, making sure that all the turtles have a nice clear path to the ocean. We talked a lot about the research that we do already, so that's also big into how we're helping sea turtles. And of course, education. There's only so much that us scientists can do alone, and it's up to all you guys to help us help sea turtles. So that is such an important part of helping sea turtles as well. Now, a few ways that you can help ensure turtle-friendly beaches if you do find yourself on a sea turtle beach during sea turtle nesting season. We kind of remember this in 3 parts. So keep the beaches dark, keep the beaches clean, and keep the beaches flat. So if you think about it, we talked a lot about lighting, keep them dark. So if you're staying in a beachfront resort that's home to sea turtles during sea turtle nesting season, turn off lights at night, close your blinds, make sure that the turtles have a nice dark environment that they can navigate to lay their eggs. Keep them clean. So sea turtles, when they hatch, they're tiny. I mean, they are really, really small. I have a model of a little baby sea turtle right here, like not even the size of the palm of my hand. They are small. So even something as small as, a water bottle or a cup, that can be a big, big barrier to them. So keeping the beaches nice and clean will prevent trash from getting into the ocean as well. And keep them flat as well. Like I said, you saw how tiny those baby sea turtles are. A big sandcastle can be a huge barrier to them. So if you are on the beach during sea turtle nesting season, make sure to knock down those sandcastles. It's almost more fun than building them, is destroying them. So keep the beach nice and flat for them. But it's not just at the beach that we can help sea turtles. You can help sea turtles wherever you are. One of the best things that you can do is keep learning, which every single one of you is doing right now by coming to this talk. Keep learning, and more importantly, share your knowledge with others. Talk to anyone who will listen. The more people that we can get to learn about sea turtles, the better we can all help them. You can also volunteer as well. There's tons of great conservation organizations all throughout the world that are always looking for volunteers. A lot of citizen science projects as well that rely on people like you and me to collect data for them, even if you're not an expert in the field. So tons of things to get involved in. You can clean up your community. Even if you're just on an evening walk, you can pick up some trash, because who knows where that trash might eventually end up if it's not in the garbage. And of course, reduce, reuse, recycle. The less that we can keep stuff in the environment, the better off these turtles are going to be. So that's all I have for you guys today. And I am super excited now to take some of your questions.
Awesome. Well, Kristen, first and foremost, thank you so much for the enthusiastic deep dive, the models, the pictures, all of it, all the stories. That was awesome. You're also the first person in our 4,000 broadcast history to openly suggest to children to knock down sandcastles. So thank you very much for that.
Wow, incredible. Always happy to suggest to destroy some things. It is a ton of fun. We love doing it on the beach sometimes. And it does help the turtles significantly. So
amazing. Our North Carolina crew has done it themselves. So you good little plug of the day. Before we dive in with questions, and there's so many of you, we're gonna start with our Kahoot. So 4 questions, have some fun with that. See who is paying attention. And I will note, if you have extra questions when we're done the Q&A, please do email them to me. I'll pass them to Kristen, and we'll get you all the answers. Now, since it's your first time doing a Kahoot as well, for everyone playing the Kahoot, the faster you answer, the more points you get. And what you win is Kristen and I's everlasting respect. So I also want to note, for most of our classes, we have the all-time Kahoot winner champion class, Mr. Hancock's class today, who have swept every Kahoot in history. So they are the juggernaut that all the rest of you are trying to defeat. No pressure at all. All right, let's dive in and get underway. And Kristen, if you want to give us hints for any of these, by all means, point us in the right
you're testing me now.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right, and if you just want to yell out the answers, that's fine too, folks, I promise. How many species of sea turtles are there? This was right at the very beginning. Is it 3, 5, 7, or 10? Now, we've talked about a smaller number of these that are on Florida's beaches. What do we think? I will say we've literally done programs featuring more than 3 of these live on camera in our history.
Wow, that's impressive. Yeah. Any flatbacks?
We've not done flatbacks. I know. We'd love to do flatbacks. They're not the black sheep of the family, but they're the one that you hear about the least.
They everyone else are, yeah.
Yeah. Most of you got this right. 7 is the correct answer. Bonus point if you happen to know all the species, but we'll certainly cover a few more of them throughout the program today. Graceful turtle is 3rd, and I've got to say I'm rooting for you just on name alone.
Wonderful name.
The leatherback's the largest turtle in the world. Look at this monster. It's fantastic, and I love it. Was it 200 pounds, 400 pounds, 1,000 pounds, or 2,000 pounds? The largest leatherback in history was how big? And I like phrasing this as, so we've got a grade 3 class today. So your entire class together does not weigh as much as this turtle, which is crazy.
It's crazy to think about.
And most of you got this right, 2,000 pounds. So like, I'm a reptile guy at heart. So like big snakes, big crocodilians, big turtles, and the Komodo dragon really appeal to me. So way to go to all you got this right. Iguanas in the lead with graceful turtle 2 behind. Okay. Whew, I shouldn't play favorites, but I totally am. All right. Sea turtles can pull their heads into their shells like some turtles on land. Is this true?
That's a tricky one.
Oh, this is a tricky one. There's actually a turtle in Ontario, where a lot of our audience is today, called the box turtle, who can fold his whole body into his shell. His shell's hinged in a way that it can just become like an impenetrable fortress, but that's very unusual. And maybe that helps out. Let's see what we've got. Oh, so many of you thought true. So false. Most turtles of all kinds cannot pull into their shell, but sea turtles definitely cannot. They are completely anchored outside. Those fleshy bits are out there all the time. I will say they're pretty tough. Like, I used to work at an aquarium, and people were like, oh, the turtles and the sharks. Do the sharks attack the turtles? And it's like, no, sometimes the turtles attack the sharks because they're stronger and bigger. All right. How does Disney's Vero Beach Resort help turtles? Sea turtle-friendly lighting, reducing single-use plastics, beach cleanups, or all of the above? And your hint here is that when I have all of the above in a Kahoot, it usually is the correct answer. And that's more than a hint. That's sort of giving it to you. But I want you to reinforce this main idea is that there's a lot that Disney's doing to help turtles. Yes, all of the above is correct. Let's see what that does to our leaderboard, our final podium. Third is Lustrous Panther. I'd love to see a Lustrous Panther one day. It'd be fun.
Me too.
Smart Iguana second. And first, is it my turtle? Drum roll. It's Joyful Sea Lion. Way to go. If you are, Mrs. Fisher's class just went crazy, so I'm assuming they are Joyful Sea Lion. Way to go, guys.
Incredible.
Okay.
Well done, everyone.
We are diving in with questions. So I'm so excited. One by one through all the classes. I'm coming to you all. Multiple rounds. YouTubers keep sharing there. But we are going to start with Mrs. Fisher's class because they won the Kahoot. So I'm going to start with you guys. Welcome in Carsonville. Take us away, folks. Hey.
How deep can they go and how what is their reaction if they see a predator?
Ooh, that's a really, really good question. So I know the leatherbacks, they're your deepest divers, so they can go about 4,000 feet. I'm not too sure about the other species of sea turtles, so that's a good one. The fun thing about science is there's still a lot we don't know, but I'm sure some other researchers know. So not too sure about the other species. How they react to predators, that's a really, really good question. So sea turtles, they have one thing to their advantage, which is their size. They're really, really big. They're kind of a hard meal for a lot of sharks. And if there's one thing you need to know about sharks is they're a little lazy. So they want the easiest possible meal to them. Not to say there are some sharks that might try to go after a sea turtle. A lot of times sea turtles are going to use their shell as a defense. So sometimes you'll see videos, and they're really cool videos of sea turtles actually swimming. And if a predator comes along, they'll turn their body so the shell's facing towards the predator, kind of increases the amount of area there is and makes them look like a bigger target. So the predators aren't going to want to bother them. But they're pretty fast swimmers too. So they can get away pretty quickly if they need to.
Yeah, I'm going to try and find a clip of the turtle and sharks because there's a great BBC example of it. I'll try and find for everybody.
Yeah.
I want to harp on 4,000 feet for a second because it's totally absurd. Like the best human divers in the world without a scuba tank, and even with a scuba tank, go down about 400 or 500 feet. We might be a little beyond that now. So like a leatherback is like 8 times deeper than us, and they have to breathe air. They can't breathe underwater. They're not like a fish. So it's unbelievable that they have that capacity, and it's a really cool first question. Thanks, guys. All right, let's go to our Concord Road Elementary. If you guys want to unmute your mic, our double classroom on the button rug, come on in and take us away. Hey.
Hi, good morning.
Hi,
Good morning.
how do they protect themselves when they eat the jellyfish? Like, how do they not get stung?
Ooh, this is a really, really good question. Oh, I wish I had a picture of what the inside of a sea turtle, a leatherback sea turtle's throat looks like. It's pretty gnarly. So they have kind of these, they're called papillae, but they're kind of like these little tiny points, like little spikes that go all throughout their throat. And their throat, they're just specially designed to not get stung by these jellyfish. But what those spikes do is help make sure that the jellyfish just kind of keep going in the right direction, make sure they can't come back up even when they're underwater and moving around. So they're just really specially adapted, kind of how clownfish, They can live in anemones but not get stung. Leatherbacks, they kind of have the same thing going on there. So good question.
Same with like a mongoose and a cobra. Like the snake can bite the thing, but it's literally evolved to be immune to the venom. However, I'm going to show you the picture of their throat because it's so
it's so cool.
As a Star Wars fan, it reminds me of the Sarlacc pit, which might be a few years till you guys are watching this. But like, look at this thing. It's so freaky and weird, and I love it.
It's so cool.
Yeah, cool. Great question, guys. All right, we're going to go to Mr. Hancock's class, then we're going to both our Cullen and Levy crew. I promise I'm coming to y'all multiple times. Mr. Hancock, Georgetown, come on in. Take us away.
Hey, we were just looking at the Sarlacc pit as well. We have a lot of questions. Why do turtles hatch so many eggs, and why are they abandoned at the beach? Why don't they stick around?
That is a really, really great question. I hear this question a lot. So if you think about it, turtles just have a slightly different reproductive strategy than some other animals. I like to compare them to elephants, right? Elephants have incredibly long periods, gestation periods. So how long the mom actually grows the baby elephant. It can be over a year. It's super, super long. So in that time, that mom is putting a lot of energy into making sure that that one offspring, that one baby will grow up and become a successful elephant. So even after that baby is born, she's going to stay with that baby for a long time. She's going to teach that baby the ways. But you don't see her having hundreds and hundreds of kids because that's just not how her energy is allocated. That's not where she chooses to spend her energy. Sea turtles, on the other hand, they put all of their energy into producing as many babies as they possibly can. So they'll lay, a couple nests a year. So they'll lay anywhere between, 3 to 7 nests, depending on the species and the individual. And each of those nests can have about 100 eggs in them, which is incredible. So if you think about it, any turtle might lay anywhere between 500 to 1,000 eggs in a season, which is crazy. But that's where she's choosing to spend her energy, is to making sure as many of those eggs get into the beach as possible in hopes that just 1 or 2 of them will make it.
A lot of mammals do the elephant strategy like us. Like we have 1 or 2 kids or a few kids and we spend a lot of effort on them. So there's actually a biology term for this. If you get really nerdy and end up in like grade 12 biology, you'll learn R selected and K selected. So Kristen and I are in on this, but the essence is lots of babies don't care. A few babies care a lot. Like those are the 2 main strategies you'll see repeatedly in the animal kingdom.
Exactly.
Great question, guys. All right. Our Cullen Homeschool, come on in and take us away. You guys are good to go. Hey. Unmute though. More fun that way.
There you go.
Why are their back legs shorter than their front?
Ooh.
That's another good question. So most of their power comes from their front flippers. So when they're swimming in the ocean, that's mainly what they're going to use. They're going to use their front flippers to really, really propel themselves forward. The back flippers are steering. So they kind of just help them kind of go left, go right. So really their front flippers are longer because they need the power, they need the muscle in them. Whereas the steering flippers, they just kind of help them determine which direction to go. So
same reason that your legs are longer than your arms. Like every animal's evolved in its own way to handle the habitat in the way that's best for it. So really, guys, these are like awesome questions. This is one of my favorite Q&As in a while. All right, Da Vinci Homeschool, we're coming back to you guys. Come on in North Carolina. Take us away. Hey.
Hi.
Hi, guys.
Okay, so I have a few questions. My first question is, how do baby sea turtles in the eggs deal with cold temperature?
Ooh.
That is a wonderful question. Yeah, so temperature is a big factor that determines how quickly those eggs develop. So a lot of times the warmer that a nest incubates at, so the warmer it is as those eggs are developing, the quicker it'll develop. But temperature also determines what sex the turtles are. So we like to say hot chicks, cool dudes. The warmer a nest incubates at, the more females will hatch in that nest. The cooler it incubates at, the more males. So in a perfectly distributed nest, the eggs towards the bottom, they're going to be a little bit cooler, right? And the ones at the top are going to be a little warmer. So in a perfect nest, ideally we get about half and half. So temperature is a big factor when it comes to sea turtle eggs. Yeah.
I love this. We've had so much fun in the Q&A so far, and we've got a whole other round plus our YouTube group. Before we go to the YouTube group, I'm going to harp on something that I like to highlight every time we've got a big, long Q&A, and that is Archelon. We talked about the leatherback. They're super cool. My favorite fossil in the world at the Royal Ontario Museum where I grew up is Archelon. It's the biggest turtle ever, and everyone should check it out when they're done because it's this big or bigger, and it's so cool, and it rocks. So there you are. That's your weird plug of the day in a turtle program. Isn't it the best? I know. And look at those cool, like, chest plate bones. Anyway, I saw from the faces, you guys are as excited as I am, and that rocks. YouTube, there's so many great questions. Okay, Mr. Rutledge's class. Let's see. What do you like most about being a scientist, Kristen?
That's a great question. I like how much I don't know. That's what really keeps me going, is because science is all about finding answers and solving problems and seeking solutions. And it's every day we get up and we get to do something really, really cool and answer questions that no one has thought about or no one has answered before. So I really just like the discovery of it. That's one of the best things.
I love when speakers or classes stump the scientist. Like, we are ignorant of it so much. There's a whole program we talked about the other day where, like, our fundamental understanding of the universe is changing because we've got these new telescopes that are probing deeper and better in time. And so, like, to think about that, like, we know so little about literally the biggest possible questions. And that's what makes being a scientist so cool. That's a fantastic answer. All right. 2 more from YouTube, then we're going back for another round. Let's see. Miss Johnson's class. What's the rarest type of sea turtle?
Ooh, the rarest. That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. The rarest to me is the flatback because, like I said, I've never seen one. But I feel like some of the Ridley sea turtles might be pretty up there in the endangered category. So.
One there's a lot of, and one there's very few, and I forget which there's 2. But the green sea turtle thing is such great news, and I want to stress, like you talked about that briefly, like the least concern from endangered. Like, scientists around the world like cheer that on. Like, we did a great job of saving turtles, but now they're in a much better situation, which is awesome for all of us.
Definitely.
All right, one more from YouTube, and then Mrs. Fisher, we're back with you. Mr. Savory's class, there's so many questions. Oh, man. Let's see. Do sea turtles have individual patterns like fingerprints?
Ooh, that's interesting. I think they do have, like, their shells are so different. And, I'd say more so probably like the hawksbills and the greens have those really pretty patterns on their shells. More at the loggerheads and stuff, we don't see too much, patterns on them. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of individual variation between different individuals of the turtles. So probably, but yeah, I've never really paid much attention to it. So.
On the individual note, I don't know, but we've done some cool stuff with indigenous communities before where turtle shells were used as calendars, because a lot of turtles, certainly in Canada, the United States, or on land, will have 13 big scoots in the middle and 28 little ones on the outside, which exactly corresponds to a full year, which is really cool stuff. So you can literally use a turtle shell.
That's so interesting. I never knew that. That's awesome.
All right, Carsonville, we're back to you guys. Come on in Mrs. Fisher's class. Hey.
How do turtles react when they see people?
Ooh, that's a really, really good question. So for the most part, we deal with sea turtles as they're coming up to nest, which is already a pretty vulnerable place for the sea turtles to be in. They're most comfortable in the ocean. So we try our very, very best to make sure that the sea turtles don't see us too much, because they can get quite scared, especially when they're not in their comfort zone in the water. So yeah, they can definitely be a little bit hesitant around people because people move faster, people are bigger. So definitely one of my best suggestions is, if you're ever out in a sea turtle nesting beach, give sea turtles their space. If you see them, give them tons of room, let them do their thing, and appreciate them from a distance. So.
Distance is a good way to see most animals, although I will note, for anyone who's really keen, a lot of amazing organizations do sometimes partner with communities to help get turtles to the water so that they're not eaten on their way. They don't trip up on sea turtle or on sandcastles. We've done some really cool programs with the Nicaragua Field Turtle Hospital that releases them into the wild on camera, and the Marathon Florida Sea Turtle, the Turtle Hospital, which is an amazing organization also on the South Coast. So check those out. They're on our YouTube channel. Lots to explore there. Great question, guys. All right, 3 more. As time flies and you're having fun, please, everyone, email me more questions. We want to make Kristen regret saying yes to this. That's our goal. 150 questions. That's
quite
our
the
total
challenge.
Goal. Cool. Concord Road, we're heading to you for one more. Colin, and then we're going to wrap up with Levi. Welcome back in. Hey, guys.
So, do sea turtles hibernate?
Ooh, do they hibernate?
Ooh, that's a good question. They don't so much hibernate as, they go find warmer water. So after they're done here nesting, it does actually get a little cold in here in Florida, though Jesse was making fun of me earlier for saying 50s was cold. But it does get pretty cold here in Florida. So they don't stay here all year round. So once they're done laying their eggs, they're going to go off to what we call their foraging grounds, which is usually some deeper, warmer waters. A lot of times it's in the Caribbean for our populations of sea turtles. So they go on a nice tropical vacation for a little bit. So they don't really hibernate. They just kind of move and migrate depending on, what time of year it is and what stage of life they're in. So.
I want to stress that I made fun of Kristen because I live in Western Newfoundland and we have 2 feet of snow and it is 29 degrees Fahrenheit today. So there you are. But yes, we all want to get down tropical when it's the colder months because it's a little bit chilly up here. All right, our Cullen Homeschool crew, come on in. Take us away. Hey, oh, you had it unmuted and then you muted it. No problem. Take your time.
Here.
Hey.
You say his question was answered because we're in Ontario and it's very cold today. So he was going to ask what they do in the winter. So
if you think of another one before we wrap, we'll head to our Levy crew, but please do just let me know. You can put your hand up and I'll come right back to you. Okay. Awesome. All right. North Topsail Beach. Come on in. Hey.
Hi.
Turtle awesome. Yes. Best pet ever.
Had to do that on camera.
Okay,
Go ahead, Levy.
So my last question is, how do we start a beach cleanup on our beach?
That's a really great question. I just want to give a special shout out. I heard Topsail. Topsail is actually where I got my start with sea turtles at the Sea Turtle Hospital there. So Topsail is very near and dear to my heart. Love them. All you need, honestly, beach cleanups, they can be as small as just, you and your family going out on a walk on the beach and picking up trash. They can be as small or as big as you want. You can, get your neighbors involved, get the community involved. I know that Topsail community, they are so passionate about sea turtles. So I don't think you'd have trouble at all organizing some big beach cleanup in that area, but get people excited about sea turtles around the why behind your why you're cleaning up the beach. I think you can make some waves there.
Yeah. And independently is fantastic, and everyone has that as an opportunity for them. I know in Canada, Oceanwise has a really cool kit that anyone can use to help organize a thing. I think maybe Monterey Bay Aquarium has a program like this where they can do stuff in the US. But if you're in Canada, Oceanwise is spectacular. Can't encourage you to check it out enough. We're going to head back to our Cullen Homeschool. Do you have a second question for us?
Go for it.
Maybe.
Can they move their eyes?
Can they move their eyes?
Can they move their head?
Just like that.
Can they move their head that far?
Yeah.
Yeah, they can actually move their head. So they can kind of move their head side to side. Like the Kahoot said, though, they can't actually retract their head. So they kind of just, they're actually very perceptive. If we are doing research on turtles nesting at night, you'll see them pick their head up and kind of look all around. So yeah, they're pretty perceptive and can move their head all around.
I'm sorry, Kristen, I missed you faking getting your head back into your shell. Can you try again? Yeah, cool. Awesome. Guys, this has been so much fun. Thank you for your passion, your great questions, everything. Before we wrap up, Kristen, and bring in everyone for a big thank you and farewell, is there any final message you want to leave us with today about turtles?
I just want to say, no matter where you live, you can make a difference for sea turtles. Even if you live nowhere near an ocean, learning more, sharing your stories, sharing what you learn, going out, getting involved in your community, getting involved in conservation work, those all can have such a big impact on animals in your community and even beyond. So no action is too small. All of you are sea turtle biologists. All of you, we need to help save sea turtles.
No better message than that. You guys rock. Kristen, thank you so much. And for our classes too, we've got another program, not with Kristen, with Kristen's colleague on the 16th. So if you want to share that with your other teachers and get them in too and inspire everyone with turtles, please do. I will pass along the link and survey and everything else for this program in a minute. But Kristen, what we do to wrap up every program, I'm going to bring in all our groups to say a big thank you and farewell. So North Topsail Beach, our Cullen Homeschool, Mrs. Fisher, Mrs.
Thank you.
Hi, guys.